Okay, it is November 28th, 3067, and we are accepting the Rattler challenge. We are in orbit over Terra, the homeworld, the birthplace of humanity, and we're going to see if we can't knock this thing down. The rules for this thing are that there is not to be any use of nukes, which I don't know if you can bring enough nukes to make it happen. My first shot at this, I went at it and I nuked the thing twice, and it didn't seem to have much effect. In fact, it didn't have much effect on the surrounding forces either. So I think I saw somewhere where somebody took it out with 4 nukes, but that violates the spirit of the challenge. The idea is to do this without nukes or cruise missiles or really any sort of community content or cheating or whatever have you. So I think we need to go over our strategy. So strategy number 1 was, on my first attempt. This is my 3rd attempt, by the way. First attempt, I nuked it. And still got my dick knocked in the dirt. I was able to come away with the Word Blake Yellow Jacket, though, which was pretty nice. So I had my engineers reversing to do that. Now we got a fleet of those. And I think when I withdrew, it was a bad faith effort. My second attempt, I was like, okay, there's a ton of artillery that comes in and gets you. So I was like, I need to have an extreme amount of mobility. So I went with the Grizzly, which you can get up to like a 10 evasion on there. Plus, with improved jump jets, you can really get that thing moving. However, that strategy still was not enough to beat the big artillery strike, which basically takes the whole map. And even being on the outer edges of that thing, it basically took half of those Grizzlies, left side, right side, almost completely off. Not to mention the heat effect from it. Disabled several of the mechs, and it was pretty much a disaster. I was supported by VTOLs. Those were able to mostly stay out of artillery range, but even then, they still didn't have quite the movement to get out of range of that. So, but they did have the greatest survivability. I was able to take out the Lance that comes up behind you, and that maybe coupled with a couple of vehicles. Once I got down to only about 2 VTOLs left, I withdrew, but that granted me a good faith effort. So that was nice and forgiving of them. But I don't even think I got in actual visual range of the Rattler itself. It was I could see it, outlined, but it was in red, so I couldn't actually see the cool details on it yet. So the goal for this one is to try and take it out, but at least get within visual range. And I'm gonna go for what I'm calling the Cobra Kai method. I'm gonna try and make sure that the enemy can't see me. And I'm going to go for the legs. So basically, I'm going to try and modify the battlefield to my advantage. The problem is I'm not taking a lot of firepower, so this thing is going to be a long slog. The idea is to make the operating environment for the enemy completely impermissible, with just a ton of landmines and fast cam and a lot of smoke, so they won't be able to see and they won't be able to move. So let's get into what I'm bringing to bear here. So we'll get into our mech bay here. So we'll start with our vehicle support. I'm bringing in the Hail artillery vehicle, which I have in fact modified just a little bit. So the cool thing about the Hail is, I'm going to go ahead and open this up so we can take a look at it. We'll talk about my modifications here. First of all, the cool thing about that is an extra mod is you have to activate it. In fact, you do so by, I believe, going into your settings here. You go down to your mod settings, and there's a lot of stuff playing here that I haven't, but if you go all the way down to the bottom, vehicles editable, yes. So that's kind of neat. I thought that was going to be a real game changer. However, you have really limited ability to mod vehicles. Whatever the originating weapon is, whatever you replace it with has to be the same type, and it has to be the same weight, and it has to be the same size, or it can be less than that. But so you can't just go in and put a whole bunch of like RL-15s on something, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So the Hail artillery vehicle, the key feature that makes this thing super rad, is a pretty unique weapon, which is locked onto this vehicle, because I would love to take this thing and put it on everything else, is the tag barrage. So this tag barrage is pretty interesting, the fact that you fly around, you tag a target, and then like 2 turns later, an artillery strike comes in and hits that target. So it follows the target. So if you tag that target and it moves around, it will pretty much stick to it most of the time. I think there's a mechanic where, like, if you miss, it still hits that area and it'll stick to that area. So it's been a little inconsistent. Like, I've seen it either stick in that area and that's where it'll hit, or it'll stick to the target and the target moves and it follows it. Either way, a whole bunch of these is pretty nice. But it is, instead of 1 turn on the normal artillery, it's 2 turns. Which is, by the way, that's what's going to make this whole thing slog, right? Is waiting for the stuff to come down and hit. But the advantage here is that is not ammo dependent. So as long as I can keep these guys in the air, they will be able to drop artillery. And the good thing is that the Rattler is a really big target, so it should be relatively easy to hit from most places. You can also target the ground with those artillery strikes, so that'll be an advantage. And then so the modification I made to this Hail artillery vehicle, and why it's called the Hail Fast Cam, is I took off whatever was on there. I think it was an LRM-10, and I dropped down an LRM-15, the clan version, and I put the augmented fast cam ammo on here. So the idea is going to be able to go ahead and tag our Rattler, let the artillery work on that. While we're waiting for that artillery to come in, we're going to fast cam the hell out of the area specifically in front of the Rattler where all the vehicles, because the Rattler spits out vehicles left and right, and there's already a ton of stuff right in front of it to begin with. So that should kind of lock all those guys in place. Hopefully blow off some legs and tear up some tracks, and hopefully that'll do what we want it to do. So that's the idea with that. And then just to show you how the mechanic on this works a little bit is, so we've got an LRM-15 there. I think we had an LRM-10 to begin with, so I think I had 5 tons, 2 slots to work with. Yeah, so that LRM-10 would work. So the LRM-15 is 3.5 and 2. But if I wanted to do something cool like drop an ERM on here, well, I can't because it's 18 tons and it's 8 slots. So I mean, if that's pretty close to the game, you're not going to be able to tell anything terribly stupid. But like, you don't have any additional space here to work with. So, you know, if I wanted to put an LRM-20, which fits the tonnage requirement, but see, the space requirement doesn't work. So so it's pretty balanced, I think. I don't think this is a cheat. I guess one of the issues is, you know, you're not allowed to use community content. I don't know if this is community content or not. I don't know. I have no idea. As far as I know, this is fairly legit. But I guess somebody will, if I ever do post this, somebody will let me know, right? So yeah, I mean, there's some cool things you could do if you wanted to make a fast attack copter and drop some gyro jets on there and just grab some quick back shots on something. That'd be pretty rad. You could have fun. So there are some cool things you can do. The biggest advantage to vehicle mods, though, is you can swap out the ammo, which gets really fun when you have like your LRM carriers and stuff like that. So, all right. So I think we've covered the hail vehicles here that we're going to be using. So we're going to take that one. So the next thing I'm going to be those yellow jackets that I talked about. So I've got some yellow jackets. So, you know, having Gauss rifles that fly around in the air is pretty badass. However, that didn't quite fit my strategy of what I wanted to accomplish here. So I went in and made some modifications to these guys, and instead of having the Gauss rifle on there, which I think the Gauss rifle is 15 tons and 5 slots, I dropped the Mortar 8 on there, which is the biggest mortar I could get, and I decided to go for more fast cam. But here's where I'm going to be deploying. This is what I'm going to be using to deploy smoke. So the idea with the smoke is I'm going to drop as much smoke around the Rattler as I can, and on all the bad guys in front. And the advantage of that is units inside smoke cloud suffer a +3 penalty to shoot at other units. It also messes with their heat a little bit. Their sight range is reduced by 80%. So smoke is good for basically just fucking with the enemy. With these units having relatively high evasive, I can get easily an 8 or 9 with the hail artillery vehicle. These yellow jackets easily get the 9 evasive on there. So theoretically, a 9 evasive with a +3 penalty to shoot. You know, they shouldn't hit me, but even then, I think, you know, they're going to get some shots and take some of these guys out. So, but this should help limit the attrition. And I'm hoping that it really messes with the artillery spotting more than anything else, right? If they can't see me, they can't spot me, and they can't shoot that big artillery when flying around. So hopefully I'll be able to smoke that thing up and kind of fly around and create a permissive environment for me to move without too many issues there. So so that's the plan with the yellow jackets. I did kind of test this theory out on another on a regular level. Actually, it was against Snords irregulars, and it was a slog. It took like 28 rounds to take down 3 lances, which, you know, normally if I'd had, you know, something that was optimized for just, you know, urban combat, I probably could have got it done in 5 or 6, you know, rounds, maybe 7. And but doing it this way, definitely a slog because I could not bring a lot of damage to bear. But it wasn't an urban environment, and it was fun to watch because there was just everything was exploded. There was fast cam everywhere, and there was smoke, and it was glorious. You know, it was one of those situations where you know, there was much blood and gore, many thousands were dead. It was fun. But I also realized that it would be nice to have a little bit of an extra punch. So I set up a couple of these guys as Rack 5 carriers. So dropped the Gauss and dropped in a Rack 5, which did fit the requirements. I had a couple other options that I could have done here, but ultimately I wanted the Rack 5 because that gave me the ability to kind of modify how many shots I wanted to put on target, so I gave me a lot of flexibility. If I get like a really good back shot with a high percentage, I can kind of ramp that up to you know, 4, 5, 6 shots, whatever, and just take something down. Plus, you know, you get multiple shots there, so you get the better crit chance than you do with maybe just the one big shot on the Gauss. So, and hopefully, if I'm able to fly around, there's so many targets, should be a good chance for you know, back shots on mechs and side shots on tanks. So we've got 2 of those that are set up that way, and those are the Rack 5 variants here. So we got 2 Rack 5s, and we've got the fast cam smoke versions here. It's the FS stands for fast cam and smoke. So that's our vehicle support. We'll be taking 6 of these, 4 of these, I think. So that's 10. And then I've decided to take some mechs here. Once again, the ability you have to be able to get out of the way of this artillery that's coming in, or you're just dead. So mobility was the absolute key, and even with a Grizzly with all the improved jump jets, still could not get out of the way of those big giant artillery strikes. So maybe making mechs fly wasn't such a stupid idea after all. So we took the Phoenix Hawk. The Phoenix Hawk is the biggest one in the game here, as far as I know, for lambs. So what we've done here is we've made some modifications to this guy. There's only so much you can do the all the stuff in brown here is fixed equipment, right? So you've got the engine, the avionics, the landing gear, all the stuff that goes with it being a LAM. You can't adjust the engine size at all to get any free weight there. So once you max the armor out, there's maybe six tons. In fact, I've even knocked the armor down a little bit on the legs and the arm here just to make what I've got work. I'm going for a strategy of maximum survivability. So we've got the ECM suite on there. We've got twin clan EMS, right? And clan EMS is the best EMS in the game as far as I can tell, because the intercept chance is 50% versus like the laser AMS or the regular interstellar AMS is 25% and the laser AMS is 30. So we're getting that 50% AMS coverage there. So that should help keep some of these missiles at bay, and they're on the hot missiles. So between that and ECM suite, I think we'll have some survivability. And we're going with as our primary weapon, which it sucks, but it's a light PVC. That gives us 720 meters of range. It only does 25 points of damage, which that's the killer. But I really wanted to go with the PVC because I also get the PVC debuff, which makes every time you hit something with PVC, I think it stacks up to 4 times. It makes it that much harder for them to hit, right? So every time I hit something, it has a harder chance of hitting one of my guys. The good thing about this Phoenix Hawk is I can, at least when I was fighting Star Wars regulars there in the urban environment, I was able to get 11 invasion. The other thing that made that happen was I was able to swap up the gyro and put that Sparrow gyro on there, right? So it's max of 2 plus 2 max evasion plus 1 evasion pet there. So yeah, so 11 evasion plus EAMS and ECM. That should make this a unit should have the ability to get out of the way of any of this artillery stuff. So I think these units should survive more than anything else. And they have a decent amount of armor too. They can take a few hits. They can take a Gauss shot or a PPC, even a breaching shot. So their primary mission though is the Rattler spits out a ton of vehicles. And every once in a while, it spits out some yellow jackets and some helicopters. So those are pretty hard to hit by everything else. So these are my anti-aircraft weapons primarily. So when those yellow jackets come out, the job of these Phoenix Hawks is going to be to take those out. So hopefully that light PVC will be just enough to do what I need it to do against those yellow jackets. So to make that happen, we've got the anti-aircraft accuracy mod on here, so it gives you a plus 3 bonus to target. So that should work. And we've got the really good rangefinder, the 180 KL. On there, and we threw in the comm suite because it doesn't weigh anything. You get a little extra resolve there. So, between this and getting the precise shots in, we should be able to hit those yellow jackets as they come at us. Little extra bonus here on the platinum eye armor, clan double heat sinks. Obviously, the heat efficiency on this thing is -54. We're good. Movement here, it's 5.7, but once you get in the air and you're sprinting, it's significantly more. So that's what we've got going on there. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need to show here. We can hop into our barracks to show our pilot strategy just a little bit. Apologies for my computer. I don't have the fastest machine on the planet. So we've got a couple of pilots here that these are going to be our precision strikers. They'll be in those R5 yellow jackets. So their goal here is to have this precision master. They've got the sure movement, so it gives them the extra evasive. Multi-target won't be an issue, and what is this, overwhelming aggression, a little extra damage there. So we've got 2 of those guys that are outlined like that, and then everyone else doesn't really need precision. So we've got of course we got the Surefoot there for the sure movement for the evasion, but we went ahead and gave these guys angled armor, so that gives them additional hit defense. I don't know how much, it doesn't actually say, but hopefully that's a big improvement. And then we've got the Street Racer on here, so that's a negative 20% damage at all times. So negative 20% off a Strike Gauss shot or a PPC. Maybe that'll add some stability or some survivability there. And then we got Hull Down, which not helpful at all on a helicopter, but it's there anyway. So yeah, most of these guys are maxed out here. So I guess I should talk a little bit about who the hell am I. So
I'm on the clock. What do you want?
That's my captain there. Yes, I gave him the voice of Tex, but also that was because I killed Tex 3 to 5 games into my session. So, but yeah, he went out honorably in a Kintaro, as I imagine that he'd be okay with. But yeah, so that's me. I go by the handle Mr. Demented. You could probably guess maybe what my real name is over here. My crew, I call them the Iron Vultures, which is a little bit of a play on some clan naming conventions. Actually, it's the name of a mercenary group that I played on tabletop 20 years ago in BattleTech setting and had a lot of fun with. So they get to live on here in the virtual world. So I think that's it. Maybe we should take a quick poke through our settings just a little bit to see kind of what we got here. Just to make sure that I'm not cheating or anything like that. Controls, yeah, video. Yeah, my video settings are kind of knocked down a little bit. Got the audio. I take out most of the talking and the mech warrior chatter. It's super fun, and I really love everybody that's in there, especially with the the announcer pack or whatever. You got what's Duncan in there, and I got Tex, and a couple other Hardball and Happy Bunny, Fuzzy Toes, and love all those guys. It's super great. But yeah, Duncan Fisher's like, let's go wild, folks. I love that. Okay, time for the aerial. Okay, I listen to that guy all day. But all right, so that's okay. So I'm not doing that. Difficulty settings. can judge me on that if you want. Mod settings. So these are mod settings. Maybe we should just look at that. The only thing I mess with in here, I don't know what all this stuff does. So this is like way beyond my ability. But custom audio, ammo categories. Yeah, I think that's all. Whatever this is, it's all default, right? So I don't know if there's any way to cheat any of that or get an advantage here. Doesn't seem activatable equipment. That sounds interesting. But yeah, so really all we have going on is custom units editable. So if there's a cheat, that's the only one that I'm using. But I feel like everything I'm doing, you could do on tabletop. If you could do it on tabletop, that seems like that's probably fairly legit. So and we haven't gone in and modified any of the like JSON files or anything. Like I could do that a little bit on the vanilla, the original upload, but I actually don't even know where you would do it for this version of the game. So not a super technical guy. I can mess around a little bit, but we have not done too much there. Oh, I can tell you where I did cheat though. So I have, in fact, used the BattleTech save editor. I modified a couple things. I got like more mech text than I'm supposed to have, more medical. That doesn't affect the game at all. But also that's how I have a bunch of yellow jackets and tons of equipment and all that stuff. So, but yeah, because if I get in my storage here, we've got like basically set all the mechs to 99, so I can have as many as I want. I've already finished up my career. I'm actually 2 days away from actually ending it. You can see my score there if you like. So yeah, couldn't complete the mech weight or chassis completions, but everything else was pretty solid. So really fantastic playthrough. Looks like I'm gonna get legendary. Probably won't get Grinsky just from getting Rattler. So, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm happy just to fuck around at this point. So with that was a lot of setup and a lot of talk without a whole lot of stuff going on screen here. So maybe let's get into it. So to set this up, if you've never done this, you have to go to Terra. Apparently there's one on 2K id, but for some reason every time I go to 2K id, the game glitches out. I don't want to go there. I'm sure that's a bug that's been fixed in a later iteration. I still have not upgraded to the latest iteration, so I can still use my Battle Armor, which I really like. I would not really enjoy not being able to use Battle Armor, at least in the mid game. Once you get to the end, it's kind of superfluous and it slogs the game down a little bit, but it was a ton of fun to play with. But anyway, to activate this Rattler challenge, come into the store here, and as you scroll down, you can get some really cool options. Bring down a Union dropship, bring down an Overlord ship. So those are fun challenges, and yeah, those are difficult, but once you kind of figure out how to do it, it's not too bad at all. However, this is what we're looking for: is this the aggro crag, the Rattler fight. So here we are. This contract is extremely difficult, probably unwinnable without extreme measures. You have been warned. So yeah, without nuking it from space, to the best of my knowledge, at least from what I can tell on Reddit, I don't know if there's something I'm just reading out of Discord because, like I said, I'm a technical guy and it gets out of hand. I don't think anyone's beaten this without nukes. So the idea here is maybe we could be the first here. So here we go. So we're going to buy this sucker. That's a cheap ticket.
New equipment available.
275,000 to seal your doom. Okay, so we're coming over to Command Center, and we have the mission there. Special BTA contract. Ultimate challenge, no fluff, no lore, just death. If you ever wanted to fight a mountain, this is your chance. Drop in against the Rattler. 10,000 tons. This is where I would really like to get the visual on this, because I'd really like to see how the armor's allocated. I actually have no idea. So that's our goal, at least, is to see what the hell we're dealing with. Yeah, so warnings. Contract is absurdly hard, possibly impossible. Prepare for insane combat. It may be impossible. Like I said, without nukes. Not aware of anybody beating it without nukes. So maybe we'll be the first. I don't suspect we're gonna do much here, but I've got a strategy. I'm gonna try it out, and we're gonna see how it goes. So let's negotiate that. I guess we want all the salvage, and we are facing the 40th Shadow Division. They're a bunch of cheaters. I can tell you that. So we'll point out some of their cheats as we go through this. All right, so we're accepting this. We're gonna set up our team. So it does take a little bit of time to load. So once we get our team set up here, we'll try and fast forward and cut through some of the wait time here. So we're fully maxed out here on the weight that we can take and all that. Not that the weight would be an issue with all the feats we're taking, but we also have a max number of slots too. So all right, so here we're going with with our Phoenix Hawks. My commander does have the target painting ability. I thought about adding more of these guys with that, but I'm really only going to need one. The sensor lock, which is really important for knocking down evasion on most units, does not work on our intended targets of the yellow jackets that this thing spits out, because those are equipped with C3I, which prevents the evasion reduction from the sensor lock. But this target painting thing ought to work, because it gives you a +3 to hit for 2 turns. So he can paint up a target if one's being particularly nasty, and the rest of these guys can knock them out. So we've got 6 of these Phoenix Hawks going. Actually, I think we're going to drop one of these guys, because I want to get, let's see, yeah, we want the additional yellow jacket. So we'll have 5 of these. All right, so we need to get a pilot in there. So let's find a suitable pilot. This is not one of the ones that needs precision, so we just need to throw Roadhouse in there. All right, so let's go back to this. We're going to drop that guy, and I'm going to save that slot for just a second here, I think, because I want to make sure. All right, so here's the R5 variant. So let me move this R5 variant down here so it can go last. All right, so that's a precision with the R5. here's the other R5, so I need to find a precision pilot. I think that's this guy Shotel here. Where's he at? Oh, he's knocked out. That's really frustrating. Damn, this debilitating injury crap. That's really frustrating. All right, well, I guess we're going to have to roll with that then. So we only have one precision pilot on our R5. That's kind of an okay trade-off, though, because, you know, this guy will have the survivability, and this will be the one reckless pilot there. So, all right, that's the way this is going to have to go. But we do want to drop in one more yellow jacket. All right, so there's the extra yellow jacket, and let's see if we can find a pilot here. We've got a couple of these that are set up for dual. Yeah, I guess it's going to have to be this guy. So he'll have to do. Hopefully that visible target will carry over. Yeah, we'll see. So maybe we're not 100% optimized, but you know, no one ever really is. So we got all of our units ready. We're good to go. We're only coming in with 478 tons, which is definitely kind of a counterintuitive strategy, right? You think you'd want to come in with, you know, 10,000 tons, man, if you can. But the problem with that is you lose the mobility. So mobility is life. All right, so let's go ahead and deploy.
Mech warriors, prepare for combat.
Should be a fairly easy deployment. You probably see this thing from space, I would imagine. Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of the lore on the Rattler. I looked it up on Sarna just to check out, like, what the hell is a Rattler? Is that a real thing? I thought maybe it was just made up for this thing. Yeah, it looks like it's a real thing in game. And I haven't read any of the books past the. I'm one of those old school guys where it's like Dark Age, but no, I'm not doing that. But at some point, I'll probably come and catch up on the last 20 years of stuff. I gotta stop bitching and aching about. Well, it's not my BattleTech. It's everybody else saying, what happened to Victor? But the cool thing about this game is that they've done a really great job of, as you progress through the timeline, of checking out, updating the lore and the stories as you move along here. So that's been really fun. I'm gonna shut up here so we can get past my black screen.